Welcome to another episode of Beyond Top Secret, brought to you by UAP Reporting Center. We are joined by some very interesting guests today. We have John Craig and EJ Thornton of UFOtrack.com. So everybody say hi to John and EJ. How you guys doing today?
Hi, Joe. It's great to be here.
We're awesome. We're awesome. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm excited to interview you guys. I've been watching some of your other interviews, and it's absolutely fascinating what you two are doing. I can't wait for the people about it to learn about what you guys have going on. And if everybody buys in, I think it could really be a game changer in the UFO field. We just got to kind of have everybody find out about it, participate in it, and at that point, we don't need the government, or we don't need anybody else. We can do it ourselves. And that's really exciting. Yep, exactly.
Gonna do it ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. 'Cause we're not getting it from the government. That's for sure.
It's taken 80 years of them slowly coming clean, but they're not going to do it anymore. I don't think they'll do it the next few years even, but it's getting closer. But holy cow, we've got to do it ourselves.
Yep, I completely agree. So, actually, before we get into it, if everybody would just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. The more people that subscribe, the more people we can get to see this and get this information out, and work together to try to get to disclosure. So, for people who've never heard of you, who are you guys, and how did you get into the paranormal or UFO world?
We're Ufotrack, and we got into the UFO world. I did by marriage because I married John, but he's been an experiencer all his life. But he is an engineer, and I'm a mathematician, and we started talking about how do we do this? How do we finally prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that there's something out there? How do we prove to the skeptics? How do we do this? And the answer is data, hard data, and with multiple witnesses and in real time. And that's how we are going to prove that. So we said, well, how do we create that? And that's how we came up with Ufotrack. So John's been an experiencer all his life, and that's where the passion comes from.
Yeah, I had experiences when I was very young with my whole family, and then in high school I saw a friend of mine, and I saw a fireball going across the sky late at night, and it suddenly made a U-turn. I've often wondered ever since, and how high was that thing? Is it, at the edge of the atmosphere like it looked, or was it really? So those kind of thoughts have been going through my head, and later in life I had some other experiences involving missing time and a medical intervention. So that's a whole another set of stories. But ever since then, I've been very interested in UFOs and trying to figure out what in the heck is going on. I know something's there, and how do you explain it? So I'm kind of a nuts and bolts kind of guy. I've written books for Microsoft and software engineering, electronics. So said, well, I'll use those skills to see if we can put together some sort of a program that can help get to the answers. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's actually really exciting. I'm excited for people to learn about it. We're going to get into it shortly. You can kind of explain what it is. But let me ask you, was there a problem in UFO research that you were trying to solve when you started this? Like, where did this all come from?
For me, it was a matter of, I've been in MUFON off and on over the years, and it seems like the same thing is going on over and over and over. We're collecting great data, doing analysis, but I haven't seen much progress and in getting to the real answers. We're collecting the data, and it's sort of after the fact analysis, but maybe we could do something more real time and really kind of push the point that some explanations need to come forward. So that's, we can talk about the no-fly zone, as we call it, and there's several ways we're approaching this to try to get a more of a proactive real-time alerting system going, where we can force some questions to be answered. Let's put it that way.
The thing for me was that the people that collect the stories usually just collect them and archive them without analyzing them or comparing them or seeing where the patterns are or other things like this. And it's usually behind a paywall or some secluded way. We don't have access to that data anymore. And Ufotrack's data is online, it's public, and if you're a member of our network, you get to download it, study it, do whatever you want with it. We're not claiming that this is proprietary data. This is happening to everybody. We're just classifying it the way that we want to classify it and presenting it in a geographical setup so that we can visually see patterns and things like that. But we are trying to do everything in real time. So somebody in Pennsylvania like you can see what I'm seeing in Colorado in near real time. We'll do a report. That report will trigger an email. You'll send a response back to that email saying what you saw, attach a picture to it. We can attach that picture to the real-time map icon, and you can see in Pennsylvania what I'm seeing in Colorado or vice versa in near real time. That way, this is a collective event, and we can create community around it. And when we have multiple witnesses and credible evidence and good photos, the giggle factor disappears, and we can start studying real data. And that's what we need to actually prove that this is real and get some serious attention in the places that need to study it. Hand them really good data to study and get some answers. Get disclosure.
Yep.
Yeah, that is absolutely the goal. If you can, I know we just kind of touched on a little bit. If you can give everybody, how does it work step by step? Like the equipment, give us an explanation on the whole thing, if you would.
Well, I can start with the hardware side of it, and EJ, maybe you can talk about the report form, which is extremely fast report form she'll describe. But we have a real-time sensor that we sell for $100, trying to keep the cost really low. And this circuitry in this is probably 1,000 times better than what they landed the people on the moon with. It's amazing what you can get for very, very low overhead costs nowadays. But it's called UFO-Sense. I don't know if you can see the label. Its lighting has.
It's absolutely upside down.
Oops, that doesn't help. Okay, I can't see the label very well. Okay, UFO-Sense.
Yeah, I can see it.
And it plugs into your household wiring. It's got a Wi-Fi connection. So when you first get it, you set it up to connect to your Wi-Fi, and then you put it on a shelf, like behind the books or just on a bookshelf, somewhere solid so it doesn't wiggle around. And once it's connected, you just leave it. You can test it. There's a process for testing it. And otherwise, you just let it sit quietly. If it detects a shift in the Earth's magnetic field or strength of the Earth's magnetic field, both direction and strength, or if it detects a shift constantly for more than 2 seconds of the Earth's gravity field in the same direction, everything's a little heavier than normal or a little lighter than normal for a full 2 seconds, then it'll set a gravity alert. And when the alert happens, it'll beep for 30 seconds. So if you're nearby, you can hear it. But more importantly, it sends an alert to the through the Wi-Fi to our server, and then the server figures out all the other members within a 50-mile radius and sends all those people an alert also, so they can get outside and see what's going on and hopefully get cameras. We got really important reasons why cameras, if we can get cell phone cameras to get these things, we can do triangulation. We can go on and on with the analysis at that point. But the important thing is it's real time. So if the alert comes in, somebody will get an alert within seconds, and they can get outside and hopefully even get multiple witnesses for a single event. And that's worth a lot. His credibility goes up. And then there's another way that, EJ, why don't you describe that?
Well, and then it'll also plot on a map in real time. So as soon as it gets detected, it goes onto our sightings map. And then we have another web page that's just report.ufotrack.com. Look at our website there in my name, ufotrack.com. Just put report dot in front of that. And if you see anything, just report it. If you don't know what you're seeing in the sky, hit report.ufotrack.com, and you can say what shape it is and the direction it's going and add a note if you want to. But that will also populate to the map in real time and notify members within a 50-mile radius so that they can get out there. So we have equipment detecting and witness detecting, both reporting to the same sightings map, which is sightings.ufotrack.com. And anybody can see that. Anybody in the public, you don't even have to be a member. You can see what's happening in real time. So go to sightings, plural, sightings.ufotrack.com and see where the activity is. We've had a ton of activity through the sensors and through people that are reporting things. It triggers an email, both the detector and the report triggers an email to you for further information to add to the report. And if you have a photo or a video, I can attach it right then. And like I said, people can see in real time what's happening all over the country, all over the world. We have members in at least 8 countries.
Wow.
But we need a member at least every 50 miles. It'd be great if it was more like every 10 miles, so that we can start getting a trajectory going. So if you get the report and there's you get the alert on your text and it says go outside, you're going to go outside now prepared for something versus somebody that just sees it and the adrenaline spikes and you're shaky and everything with the camera. But if you get the alert, you're going to get into first responder mode and go, okay, there's something out there, I've got to go see it. And you're going to go out prepared, know where to look, know what to look for, and hopefully we can get the photographic evidence again from more than one location. When you do that, you also go report.ufotrack.com and say what direction you saw it going. And that will also plot to the map. So if we get a good event, say like a Phoenix Lights event, we'll start to see these teeny little icons populate on the map in real time, and we can get a trajectory. And then just imagine getting out in front of that and waiting for that UFO to come over. I mean, this is technology that we actually have and we're implementing. We just need more people in the network willing to receive these alerts. And to do that, you just join our Patreon at ufotrack.com. So
we're keeping the price really low as we can on all of this. So it's only $5 a month to be the member. We need to cover the cost of the server and the texting, which is
and the emails, yeah.
And the emails, yeah, all of that stuff, and keep us able to do this. So it's just $5 a month, like a cup of coffee per month. And you can even join as a non-paying member, but you won't have the benefit of getting the alerts and a few other things like that. So we're trying to get this out to as many people as we can with as low a price as possible and try to reach our goals.
Yeah, I mean, the price is very reasonable for sure. $5 a month to be able to participate in that is well worth it. And I'll leave a link in the information on this interview on how people can sign up.
Yeah. So we just we want more people to play. This is a grand experiment. We don't know what we're going to prove. We don't know what we're going to find. We've already found really interesting things. And it's pretty exciting. We go out on sky watches and also do analysis from 2 cameras that we control, go out on sky watches and try to analyze things. We try to look for UFOs where nobody else is looking, or look for UFOs that would have been previously dismissed. But with our system, we can actually prove they're exotic. So even if it looks mundane, like a satellite going overhead, if it's going over at the wrong speed or at the wrong altitude, we can prove that with our triangulation. And by definition, we're going to have something exotic that, we can report and people can study.
Yeah, it started off, one of the main goals before we really got this going was we were going out with 2 high sensitive cameras, Sony cameras that can detect with real low light. So we could watch the satellites. And if we have 2 of those and they're separated by a few miles, we can actually, I wrote software to triangulate and find out the altitude of the satellite. It's extremely complicated software, but we're getting the pieces put together on some tools for anybody to use. But one of the big goals is if we can get multiple cameras on the same event, and that's more and more possible nowadays with all the phones in everybody's pockets. And we're not that worried about, the quality of the picture, the surface texture or anything like that. If we can just get a pinpoint of light from 2 cameras and some background information that allows us to get the azimuth and elevation, then we can do some analysis that other people are just not doing. So even though it might just look like a satellite going across the sky, if it's in the no-fly zone, somebody's got to do some explaining, or, we've got a very useful piece of information there. And the no-fly zone is from about 20 miles. Nothing can fly higher than 20 miles. It's man-made, no balloons or airplanes. jets or anything. Rockets can go higher than that, but that's it. And then nothing can orbit below roughly 100 miles. So there's a zone from 20 to 100 miles. Nothing should be there. And if there is something flying in that altitude, that's exotic. We've got either it's anti-gravity of some sort that doesn't require the atmosphere at all, or it's from ET or something exotic is the best way to put it.
Whether it's ours or theirs, it's exotic.
Yeah.
So we can prove that that's just not a known commodity with the technology we currently say we have.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because with all the tools we have now, being able to track flight paths of airplanes, being able to tell like when Starlink is having launches, satellites, positions, it's a great way that you can kind of verify things or count things out. This is explainable, this is not explainable. So I mean, all of this is making sense. So you are is there anybody, or let me say, so once you guys get the data, is there anybody that's verifying it?
We're doing a little bit of analysis ourselves. If it's mostly we're just getting the information out with the goal of the real-time collection of more data, getting more witnesses and more camera views. If it's a good sighting, as members of MUFON, we plan to sort of suggest to the witnesses that they go file a report with MUFON so they can do the after the fact deeper analysis. That's an important part of all this, but we're not really doing that part of it so much. We do rule out things real quick. Obviously that was a satellite, or obviously most likely if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, you can't go much further than to say it's just a duck. So we have to kind of use that philosophy ourselves. But we have had a few cases already where we can't really explain them that easy, or some really good.
On our YouTube channel, we have a thing called the Lyrid objects that we were out filming just 26 feet apart, 2 different cameras, just in our backyard, edge to edge backyard. And we filmed this interesting V-shaped object that was just going about 60 miles an hour, it appeared to be staying rigid. And it was at 800 feet and only about a quarter of a mile away. And it was really a bizarre looking, peculiar thing, but we eliminated all the mundane things. So we verify it wasn't a planet, it wasn't a satellite, didn't have navigation lights. We go through a checklist of the mundanes just to see if we can dismiss it. And if we can't, then we've got something that's at least unidentified, even if it's not goes any further. But yeah, we have that data out there. We have the videos out there. We publish the metadata that came from the cameras so that other people can take that data and study it as well. So it's all fair game. So, but we have seen things like that. I said the Lyrid object, that's really an interesting thing, this nice big V-shaped object. I hope in the end that it was just a flock of birds that knew how to fly in formation really, really rigidly. Otherwise, there's something very exotic flying less than a quarter of a mile away from my house that I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it.
Right, you want to see something cool, but maybe not so close to the house.
Yeah. Normally, we space the cameras further apart so they can get the altitude of satellites. At 26 feet, you can't do that.
Yeah.
This object
we got this thing at 26 feet, but when we had them at 2 miles apart, we got some activity at 27,000 feet, which is way higher than most helicopters fly. But this set of lights, and there was at least 24 of them, were just buzzing the horizon over like Mount Princeton here in Colorado. And they did it for a couple of hours at 27,000 feet. And we really can't come up with a reasonable explanation for that. It wasn't like a military exercise. There's not a base over there. And if there was, they would have nav lights, and they didn't. And we couldn't see them with our naked eyes, but we could see them with a low light camera and low light scopes. So there's stuff flying around that we really can't see with naked eyes. People aren't going to be noticing these things. But when you get some equipment trained on them, and if you do it again, we proved the 2 different locations on the same thing, really adds to credibility and adds to the data that we can play with and find out more about. So we were seeing things just buzz around at 27,000 feet that really had no business being there. So and for hours. I mean, we had 20-minute videos. We had like 5 of them. So
Wow.
over the course of a couple of hours that night, and the stuff just stayed there and played. And we had taken our UFO-CQ, which is our beacon, and tried to do a CE5 that night, and just said, "UFOs, please show yourselves." And we think maybe they did.
Can't prove it, but it was, beyond coincidence. It feels like some of these things are just too odd.
Yeah, coincidence is a tough
Right.
word.
That's a pretty big coincidence.
Right. And the better we can get on those kind of things, the more we can kind of, force the questions. We got to get this closer and closer to true disclosure.
Yeah, absolutely. And MUFON is definitely, I'm a MUFON member as well. It's a great place to submit reports. Also on our website, thecontactreport.com, there is a function on there as well where people can go on and submit sightings, and we'll go through the data. And, if there's enough information that we think it could be something anomalous, we actually do go on the ground and investigate and stuff like that as best we can. The stuff is tough to investigate on the ground unless there's some sort of physical evidence, something like that. There's a reason it's been 80 years and nobody seems to have a UFO in their hands or a piece of a UFO in their hands. It's tough investigative work. I actually come from a law enforcement background as well. So between that, doing the MUFON investigator course and studying the manual, I think it sort of gives me a unique position to kind of investigate this stuff. And I love doing it, but contactreport.com. If you want to submit a sighting, MUFON is also a great organization. They also have a great magazine, best magazine subscription service I've ever had. It's a MUFON journal.
Yeah, we were featured in the MUFON Journal in January. So a lot of people want to find out more about that, go back to the January edition. But that was a good.
I'm sure I have it. I got to go back and read that. I must have.
Yeah, that was January.
The article goes into more detail about how this whole program works. So it's a really good article to read.
Oh, I wish I knew that. Sometimes I get the journal and I mean to read it later, and I'll put it down somewhere, and then somewhere in my house eats it, and it just vanishes forever. But.
Yeah, no, it's a good. I totally agree with your assessment of MUFON there. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, but MUFON and the investigating a UFO thing after the fact is forensic. All you can do is take the measurements and the other stuff. You can't see what they saw unless there's photographs. And if there's photographs, then you get to analyze those photographs. And again, when we can analyze 2 different photographs of the same event, even if you're taking them from 2 different locations or things like that, the multiple photographs or the videos are invaluable. They're wonderful because
yeah, I could not agree more. And like you said earlier as well, having multiple witnesses really adds on to the credibility of a sighting.
Exactly.
That's super important, and it goes right back to this program that you guys are running. Having multiple witnesses is absolutely invaluable to sighting. So this can really go a long way in helping us reach disclosure and actually finding something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, and we want to create the witnesses that are prepared to document, and that's what the notifications are about. So just to get our newsletter or our Patreon posts after the fact, that doesn't really help people get out there in time. What you need to be is a member receiving the texts and being ready, cell phone in hand, turn it on even in the emergency mode. You don't even have to do this to turn on your camera. Just hit power twice and you're already in the mode. You should know to lean against something so that you've got to steady your hand, and just try to get some good photographs and video and try to get a combination thereof. Don't zoom in because you need the context and the background. Most people want to zoom in on the light and it just gets so blurry. It gets unusable. So take the whole scene in. And but this is why we have Tuesday night phone calls where we actually do some training on our tool set, which is again another way to investigate. We've got a thing called tools.ufotrack.com where if you have a sighting and you need to know what planets were visible, if somebody wants to just summarily dismiss it as Jupiter or Venus, We've got a quick little reporting tool. It'll tell you, was Venus visible? What was its magnitude, that you can get instantly. And also the same for the top 10 brightest stars at any given point in time. And then John's got another one where it creates the link into the
ADSB,
ADSB system.
aircrafts.
So you can find out what's flying right then, at least what's reportedly flying right then. So do other people verify our data? I don't know, but we verify our data pretty darn thoroughly, we think.
Yeah, I'm continuing to create more tools, software tools in tools.ufo-track.com. And it's wide open to the public, no fee or anything. Anybody can use them. Some of them are a little bit,
need a little training.
complicated math, but a lot of them are very simple, like some helpers with azimuth and elevation. How do you determine elevation angle, which is a lot of really problem for a lot of people. There's ways to practice that. And then the astronomical planets, which are visible, that EJ mentioned that. So anyway, there's a bunch of tools there. Feel free to explore them and use them as you'd like. And I'm always adding new ones, trying to increase the number of tools.
Awesome. And just so I have this right, say somebody, a member 10 miles from me, submits a sighting, right, on the program. Well, I'll get a text message?
Yep.
Yes. Within a second or two.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. And
then if they're not a member, they can go ahead and do that. They'll have to use their email, but if they're not a member, they can go ahead and submit it, and then EJ will vet it before we post it on the map. But if you're a member, it'll instantly go on the map. So, everything is as close to real time as we can get.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Because I've never seen a UFO, I don't think. I've always wanted to. So if somebody down the road from me sees something in it, I would love to be able to go out on the porch and kind of check it out. So it's a pretty cool service.
Yeah. Again, and the people that are receiving these are aware they're going to receive these things, are prepared and, mentally prepared. Where somebody just seeing a UFO out of, when they're out hiking or something, there's an adrenaline shot and you start to get, what do I do? And things like that. We want to prepare the people to be good witnesses out of the gates, calm and ready to record, and not where's my phone, or I didn't have time to record it. No, go out, camera in hand, ready to go, and whatever it is, just hit record. Don't second guess yourself with it's not going to be here long enough, or I don't want to look away or anything. Just hit power twice and get that camera going and get some documentation going.
Absolutely. Has there been any interest from, have you talked to any universities or governments or government agencies or scientists or anything like that? Are we still kind of in the preliminary stages?
We're very early in that.
This last
many
summer,
other researchers like this and are part of it, and now they want to go out on sky watches with us and things like that. So that's getting more and more exciting. But no, anything official, not really. We hard launched in November, so we are still pretty new here.
Okay, yeah, so that's pretty new for sure.
Part of the background is last summer, I did a talk at the photo forensics boot camp that MUFON put on in the Rockies here. So I did a talk on photography issues, certain aspects of it, the calculations. And that was part of what got me really thinking, what can we do beyond this? And that was kind of the genesis of getting going with this Ufotrack also. But yeah, and the MUFON people seem very enthusiastic that I've talked to so far about, getting these things out there and helping get the real-time data so we can get, that leads to better data for MUFON also.
Absolutely. So has this device ever detected a UFO before a sighting was reported?
Well, let's see.
The one up in Guffey,
Yeah.
Actually, it was kind of concurrent. The owners of the device were driving, and they got a text on their phone. So they weren't at home to hear the device, but the device texted them on their phone. And at the same time, they did see a light in the sky descend to the ground.
In the direction of their house, just over the hill, about 4 miles.
So yes.
Wow.
We've had it go off where people have reported UFOs other places, and we've had it go off when animals were agitated. So, like the magnetic field was agitating the cows in the next pasture over. So, there's been anecdotal correlating evidence, but one of our early ones where the device went off and they saw a light in the sky just descend in the direction that they were traveling. So that's the greatest thing about our UFO sense, is that you don't have to be at home to hear the device go off. It will connect with you wherever you are. We had another one where the device went off and connected with a guy at the grocery store. And so he called his significant other back at the house, but she had the vacuum going. So he heard the device, even though she was right next to it. So, anyways, but you don't have other UFO detectors. You got to be right next to them to hear them and things like this. This actually will find you wherever you are and give you, as long as you got your cell phone with you, give you a text to look up. So, yeah.
And instead of very expensive, there's some other companies making some really, really nice equipment, pretty expensive to be able to record events and cameras and stuff when there's an event going on that detects something and record the data. And that's good. But in our case, we're just getting the system simplified enough that it's the alerting, and then it's up to the human to go out with their camera to get the real, solid data. So it's a little different philosophy, but we think we got a really good idea here.
Yeah, I agree. And when I heard you guys, so how do your sky watches work?
We just find a dark sky location and we find a place to set up 2 different cameras. We train both cameras on the same constellation and in the same direction, so we don't have too much just natural shift. And then we parallactic shift. And then we synchronize it in time so that we can just see what's flying from 2 different locations. When we get the footage back, I overlay the footage in Camtasia, 2 different layers, and I make one semi-opaque, and we can see when the stars line up, the satellites, there's 2 trails for the satellites. So we can see the ones that are traveling real fast will have a slightly bigger parallactic shift. The ones that are traveling really slow will have a smaller parallactic shift because they're higher. But these are the things that we can test. So we can see something that's not got a very big parallactic shift, but they're traveling fast. We're like, that doesn't compute. So we can take those 2 and determine them as candidates and analyze what their altitude is, what their speed is. And if they're up in orbital velocity, not even beyond the no-fly zone, but they're not flying at orbital speed, we know that they're being boosted by some type of, thruster or something that satellites just don't have. So we can determine exoticness just based on parallactic shift. We can determine who the candidates are and study those a little bit closer. The vast majority are satellites, but I think that the people flying the exotic stuff up there, or the aliens flying exotic stuff up there, are kind of hiding in plain sight, and our stuff can detect that. And again, that's part of why we charge $5 a month to get, able to go out to the field as much as we do. And then we post that on YouTube, and we do our analysis on YouTube, and some of them are exotic and some of them get to be explained away.
Well, there's a lot of sightings that field investigators from MUFON, if somebody reports a light just going steady across the sky, you really only can say it's probably a satellite. You have to kind of throw it out because that's all you can do. But we're getting beyond that. We can actually do a little more testing and get a lot more accurate estimation if that was really a satellite or not. So it adds to the quality of the analysis that we can do, dig into it a little deeper.
Yeah, which I think is really important, because I think, I'd say probably 5% of sightings are something anomalous, whatever, maybe ranges 5 to 10%. However, like you were just saying, something that may look normal and just kind of going across the sky doesn't necessarily mean that it is.
Right.
Sometimes you need to take extra time and kind of verify it, because sometimes people throw things out of hand just right off the bat because it may resemble something normal. But
Hmm.
Sometimes you just got to take a little time and make sure you know what you're doing before you're tossing out a sighting. Because
Yep.
all it takes is one sighting that's irrefutable to change this whole conversation. So we have to
Exactly.
be important before we're discounting things.
Well, I think that the Kenneth Arnold sighting in 1947. Do you know how many other witnesses there were? There were several. We found a half a dozen other witnesses on that same day at that same time in that same area. Um, but Kenneth Arnold, I think, went to his grave thinking he was the only guy that saw it. But Project Blue Book has a prospector on Mount Adams when Kenneth was flying over Mount Rainier and saw the same thing. And there was a gal in Bremerton, and there was somebody up in British Columbia that were seeing these things. We should have had coordination of these reports back then, but they weren't ready to come clean with the other stuff that we don't know, or we don't know if it's the national security arguments, etc. But we could have had disclosure back in 47.
Yeah, and
And
there was such
I've
a
got a story
stigma
on my
back then.
yeah,
yeah, I've got a story on my YouTube about that with all the other witnesses that we didn't know about until we started digging into uh, some of this research. But I know that I dug into some old Project Blue Book stuff, and there's coordinating types of sightings and various other things at the same amount of time, but nobody ever took it as a full data set to analyze. According to the Project Blue Book stuff that I did, I had 700 sightings that I analyzed. They're still unknown ones. And you know what? The average time that people were watching UFOs, uh, I took the duration of the sightings. The average was 20 minutes. People are seeing UFOs sitting in the sky or traveling across or doing whatever for 20 minutes. So there's time to go get the camera. There's time to sit there and study it. There's time to call a friend. There's time to get multiple witnesses out there. There's time to do a report.ufotrack.com and engage the people around you and engage our community at large. That there's stuff flying around. We can coordinate this, and that's what's been lacking. I mean, when you asked before what's been lacking, some of that's been lacking. Taking this as a full data set, comparing, contrasting, um, and that's what we're aiming to undo. We're aiming to create this data such that people can study it as a full set, and it's important.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's very important.
referring to the Kenneth Arnold sighting, that what we found was very interesting to me was that at least two of the witnesses that day had their compasses go haywire, spinning and stuff. And this is while I was doing a lot of research to find out, well, is the magnetic field of the Earth getting shifted, or or made stronger or weaker? Is that really a good indication of UFOs? Well, it turns out that we found lots and lots and lots of sightings, including two with Kenneth Arnold, where the compasses went haywire. So, yeah, we think this UFO-Sense can actually work. There's a lot of evidence that electromagnetic fields are affected often. So,
I wonder if it also, I mean, talking about EMF or electromagnetic field, have you ever, are ghosts a part of this or poltergeist activity? Because there's a lot of, EMF detection and stuff going on in the paranormal field as well.
yeah, that's a good point. That it could be that I think there's a lot of overlap between a lot of this mysterious stuff going on. And
We have had the magnetic detections go off even in our home, where there was nothing visible outside. So I mean, it could have been that, but we don't have enough data to be conclusive on that one yet.
yeah,
But seriously, it could be. I think the interdimensional stuff and all that other stuff, it's all related.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that these things are very much connected. How could there be, in my opinion, all these mysterious and strange things going on, but they're not related to each other? I find that very, very hard to believe.
yeah, there's a
That
lot
there's
of
all
overlap.
these separate, there's cryptids and there's ghosts and there's UFOs. How could they all not be the same thing?
Yeah.
I find that very hard to believe, much harder to believe than they're separate things.
Then there's all these separate mysteries to solve, but
Right. Yeah. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't hold water. I'm going to tell a story. I've never told it before. The only paranormal thing that's ever happened to me. We were bored one night, a friend of mine and myself. We were into the paranormal. This is at like the height of when UFO hunter or ghost hunters and all those shows were popular on TV. So maybe 20 minutes from us, there's an old tuberculosis hospital that has been shut down for decades. It's enclosed in a fence now. It's just a couple of shells of buildings, like a concrete floor with some broken walls and no roof. Like just all, there's been fires and vandalism and spray paint. And so anyway, it's probably about 10 o'clock at night. We're like, let's go and check this out. It's called the West Mountain Sanitarium. So we weren't even sure. It's literally on the top of a mountain. So you got to park a distance away, because if the neighbors like see you going in there, they'll call the cops. So we parked a couple blocks away and we started walking. We must have went the wrong way, because before we know it, we're literally walking in up a mountain. All around is all you hear is what sounded like hundreds of coyotes. I mean, that's what it sounded like. So we're completely surrounded. So we're like, oh shit, we better get out of here. So anyway, we turn around, eventually we find to where we're going. So we squeeze through the fence and we walk in this building. And it's pitch black. There's nobody around. As soon as you walk in, like you can tell, like the energy it felt different, like serious. So we're walking around, kind of scoping it out. We walk in this one building, and I walk in and I give the old, the standard question: if there's anybody here, can you give us a sign of your presence? 2 seconds goes by. A mist in the shape of a person, gray, materialized from the floor into the shape of a person. My mouth hanging down to the floor. I'm just like, I felt like I couldn't move. I was just stuck in place. The thing walked past us, maybe for another three steps, 4 steps, and then it just vanished. All of a sudden, I was able to like move again. I just felt like I was like stuck. I was frozen. So I turned to the person I was with, and before I could even, she was standing like right behind me. I turned to her, and before I even said a word, she said, I saw it. And no sooner than she said that, her earring came out of her ear, literally flew maybe 10 feet across the room and bounced off the wall to the floor.
Wow.
It was incredible. So pick up her earring. And then outside the building, along the fence line, there was this old pile of garbage, like busted like TVs and like metal beams, just like metal stuff along the fence. It was like high weeds. All of a sudden, it started like rumbling and shaking, like very loud. And at that point, we decided it was time to go. So we booked it out of there. But that was the only experience I've ever had. But it was right. I've always been interested in the subject since I was a kid. But, by nature, I'm very grounded. I'm somewhat skeptical. I believe, but I'm just grounded by nature. But it was at that moment that I knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there's something else. There was no denying it. It was right in front of us. And from that point on, there was no looking back. I know there's something out there, as well as so many others do. It's not a question. There's something strange going on out there. And, what we're talking about today, I think can go a long way to kind of identifying what it is, and solving this issue ourselves rather than waiting for breadcrumbs from the government.
Right. Well, John and I are together because of a couple of our angels or ancestors who passed before us. So his late wife and I were friends, and when she passed, we think that she had some things to do with getting us together to help finish raising his grandkids and things like that. I wrote a book called Angel on Board, and then I said it was based on a true story. And they said, well, what's the true story? So I wrote a second book called Angel on Board, Real Life Stories. So we have a ton of stories just like that. that, you can't use the word coincidence. These things are lined up so perfectly that they're amazing stories. And it's just, if you dismiss it with the word coincidence, I think you're doing everything such a disservice. And that's the problem with UFO reports, is people dismiss them summarily because either they don't want to believe it, becomes uncomfortable, or do whatever. But the more we bring this out into the mainstream, the more we bring this out with evidence and not just, woo woo or, hearsay, we can start having serious conversations about this that people will start to respect. And that's our goal, is that we want to get serious data. And so we want everybody in the world to come play with us at ufotrack.com. Go to Ufotrack, ufo-track.com, like I've got right there on the screen. And that website's a hub for everything. You can join to be a member. You can get one of the units. You can get one of the beacons. You can visit our YouTube channel. Everything's right there. And just come play with us. This is a grand experiment, but it only works when we have members out there. We have the technology. Now we need the team, and we want you all on our team.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. It's affordable. It's a great resource. I know there's other things out there that are similar, that are far more expensive.
Right.
From what I can tell, I've talked to other people who have done this, and it doesn't seem like the more expensive stuff works any better. So if I can direct people, Ufotrack seems like the way to go. And if we all buy into it, if we all participate together, that's the way that we're going to make progress. We don't have to wait from breadcrumbs from the government. We can do it ourselves by participating in your program. And I urge everybody watching, everybody out there, to go to the website, check it out, read for yourself. And it's a cup of coffee a month to join. It's another couple cups of coffee to get the actual hardware in your home. And it's well worth it. We can work together to find the truth on this phenomena. And it's long overdue that we did that.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a social network. The people is more important than the hardware, actually. We can get this group of people, a teamwork going. We can make a lot of progress with the multiple witnesses, increases the credibility, like you said, and just a lot of good reasons why it should work better. That's our goal.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And let me ask you a quick question. If you had to guess, or maybe more than a guess, what do you think UFOs are? Do you think they're extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or maybe something else?
Well, I got an interesting philosophy on that. I kind of think we're being visited by a lot of civilizations. And the reason I say that is because of the number of habitable zone planets there are in the universe. One of the tools on that tools.ufotrack.com is you can play with the numbers, but using the very latest numbers from NASA and other sources for the number of galaxies, the number of stars per galaxy, the number of, for each star, the number of planets around them, and the number of those, the percentage of those that have water and habitable zone temperatures, kind of like the Drake equation, but done a little differently. The goal was to find out, how many habitable zone planets that could support life are they guessing there are now using the latest data? And when you do all the math, it's a pretty amazing number. It's huge. In fact, if you take what I did in that program is if you take a US penny and you lay them side by side, form a row, and then make another column of those. In other words, if you cover the surface of a large area with pennies, and if each of those pennies represented one of those planets, habitable zone planets, you would cover the whole continental United States to 6 miles deep. That's how many pennies we're talking.
Wow.
That's how many habitable zone planets there are. You can check the math on that tools page. So that boggles my mind every time I think of it. So if any one of those civilizations, out of all those zillions of possible civilizations, if any one of those can go faster than the speed of light, then there's lots of them that can. And there's probably just sort of a percentage of times that they come by, like how fast do people come to the zoo? Well, it's kind of predictable over time. And I think they just come and visit us all the time. They all have very common hardware ability to get around. And it could be a lot of different life forms
It's
too.
like you're freezing up a little bit.
Oops, sorry.
It's okay. But
we
yeah,
go.
I think it is. I think it is that, and I think that there might be some inner Earth potential of people that have gone subterranean and or uh, USOs, etc. You know, it could be terrestrial uh, answers of just people that we don't know or cryptids that we don't know um, are out there that haven't made their presence known, but have been seen everywhere. But they're also, I think that they could be from out there. I think they could be from down there, and I think that they could be from right here, as in the interdimensional stuff. They could be right next to us right now, and we don't know because they're vibrating at a different frequency. I think there's more than one answer, but I do still think that they're all connected.
And the interior of stars is very, very complicated physics going on in there. There could easily be plasma forms of life, that increase the, you get into the entropy and all that stuff, but there could be plasmable life forms that are a whole different set of life from what we think of with DNA. DNA might be everywhere, plasma life forms. There might be other types too that we're not even imagining right now. So I think we're being visited by all kinds of stuff. And it's hard to pin down to any one thing. I don't think it's just one planet that's coming to visit us. I kind of think it's my own opinion, but I think we're being visited by a lot of civilizations, just a little at a time from each of them. And a few of the closer ones, maybe a little more often. Perhaps the Greys are from just a few light years away.
And I think the more open you are to it, the more it happens. Again, that goes back to the UFO-CQ or even the CE5 protocols, where if you open yourself up to it, you'll see more. But if you're going to open yourself up to it to see more, be ready with a camera. Be ready with a way to document what you've got going on so that you can share that with everybody. Because again, it's going to take a whole big data set to sift through and to shake it out and to study it to figure out what's going on.
I didn't describe the UFO-CQ device. You want me to describe that real quick?
Absolutely, yeah. Tell us.
It looks very similar to the UFO-Sense, but there's no wires coming out of it. It's battery powered, so you can take it out on a camping trip. And it is off when it's upside down, but as soon as you turn it upside right, it lights up. The LED is extremely bright. It doesn't show as brightly here, but it is very, very bright. And what you do is with your phone, you scan a QR code and you connect to it. And once you're connected, you can type in with this little app program that I've got that's web-based, so anybody can do this. You can type in a message, and then this will start flashing in high-speed Morse code with that red LED. And we've had a couple anecdotal experiences where can't prove it, but we asked them, who's ever perhaps watching in the sky, to flash a light over by the Big Dipper, and within 20 minutes, all of a sudden, there's a green laser pointer coming up from the ground right under the Big Dipper, flashing around. I don't know. That was probably just a human doing that, but the guy that we were with said, that was at an Airbnb, he says, I've never seen anything like that over there. So, and we've had a couple other wild stories like that too, but you can put any message you want and flash it out in Morse code. It's kind of a lowest common denominator to communicate with them. You can ask them to come and visit or to flash a light in the sky, or, whatever you feel like doing. Hopefully
show yourselves like we did in that one video. Just show yourselves.
Yeah, and we want to communicate peace and love. We try to be positive.
There's no limit to the message that you can send out. So we've had people start to send out mathematical equations trying to generate a response. So who knows? Whatever you want to send out. But we suggest highly positive.
And it just repeats the message over and over until you turn it off or flip it back upside down.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. I always, to be honest, I wasn't sure what to make of the whole meditation CE5 thing. And I was at James Fox's press conference in Washington, D.C. a few months ago, and I met somebody there that was working for him. He was actually just got interviewed on my friend Vito's channel. God, I can never remember his YouTube channel. It's Perfect Gaming or something like that. But if you go on Twitter or YouTube and search Vito UFO, you'll find it. But I was talking to this guy there. I think his name was Darren. And he was describing to me how he kept fighting it. Like these things kept appearing to him and like in his sleep and stuff like that. And this was going on for months and years. And then finally he opened himself up to it by meditating, and really doing a lot of hard work on the meditation side of it. And he said once he did that, they start coming almost every night and showing themselves to him. And ever since then, my opinion has sort of changed on it, where I would certainly give it a try. It certainly can't hurt to go out and meditate and say, show yourself, make a fun night out of it, if nothing else.
Right?
But you know, I ever since that I've taken it more seriously. So this kind of program that you're talking about really could have people take that next step in trying it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it happens at an ESP level, kind of meditation and stuff. But I kind of agree with you. I'm kind of grounded and more nuts and bolts, but I'm open-minded to anything as possible. We have to find out what the truth is, whatever it is. But yeah, so the UFO-CQ is kind of like a meditation device with a nuts and bolts flavor to it. You know,
Yeah, I like that. I like
you can
that.
add to your meditation with it, perhaps. You know, and it might all work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting. And on top of that, the last question I asked, I just saw an interview with Representative Tim Burchett just yesterday, and he got a new briefing with the White House, and the Pentagon. And from what he said, I posted it on my Twitter. If anybody, UAP Reporting Center on X, I posted the clip. But he basically said, if you read between the lines, that they know what it is, and that while people will be, I don't know, I forget the exact word he used, not scared, but something like that, worried. Um, he kind of made it seem like they do know what the phenomena is, and that people can handle it. It was the first time I heard him say that they actually do know what the phenomena is. Not that there's just crap visiting us, but what and where they're coming from. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe I wasn't even sure the government knew what we were dealing with, but maybe they do.
So that kind of sounds like they do, and it's whatever it is. It sounds like they think it's too scary for us. It'll be too mind-boggling for us. But I don't know. I think people can handle the truth. I really do. I think we were conditioned for many years to have the giggle factor and to not take the subject serious. But over the last few decades, 2 or 3 decades, it's been more and more open, less giggle factor, more serious. And I think we have the possibility of really getting into it. And I don't think people would overreact. It might cause people to rethink their reality a lot, but we can handle it. And we've had a lot of weird stuff happen in our world anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're here, whether we can handle it or not. The phenomena is here, and the people deserve to know the truth. The truth doesn't belong to the government. The truth doesn't belong to a few people. The truth belongs to humanity. And it's long past time that people knew the truth, for better or worse. And I don't think the phenomena, I could be wrong, but I don't think the phenomena is all sunshine and rainbows. If you look at the abduction and cattle mutilation aspects to this phenomena, it doesn't seem like they're all sunshine and rainbows and love. And you know, they came here from the hippie times of 1968. It doesn't seem, maybe there's different things, and some are love and light or whatever, but I don't think that's the whole thing. But regardless, people have a right to know the truth.
And there might be some technology that could really help advance civilization and save the planet. Yeah, who knows? We need to know. The truth is always better than secrecy and hiding. I really think that.
I agree. And that might be part of the reason why they don't want us to know the truth, because there's too much money in the energy sector, and healthcare and God knows what else, that if the truth was revealed, that it would totally upend those profit centers. And
it would level the
that's what they don't
playing
want.
field big time.
Right, right. Who knows? Maybe we can get from Pennsylvania to California in a blink of an eye. Who knows? You know.
But we can handle
all right. What else do we have here? Let me see. We're coming up on an hour. I just want to make sure if there's anything else I want to ask you. Let me ask you this. What would you say is the biggest piece of proof that you guys have ever seen? What's the best evidence that you've ever seen?
Wow. Well, for me personally, it was the experiences I've had. Just like you said with that, with your anyway, the misty thing you saw, that it's real to you when you experience it yourself. And I've had a few of those experiences myself. So to me, that it's a personal thing, but that was most convincing. I've also had an uncle who flew cargo airplanes for the Air Force for I don't know how many years. He flew Bob Hope overseas twice, and he's one of the first ones to land. I think it was at Nagasaki or something after the explosion happened there. Yeah. He's got all these stories, but he had something fly right next to his airplane for half an hour that was cigar shaped with portholes, lights, no wings.
Wow.
And they called people on the ground to see it also on another airplane. Said, can you see it too? So they verified it wasn't a reflection in the windows or anything. And after half an hour, he said it just suddenly zoomed ahead and went up towards the Big Dipper and disappeared. And I personally take that very serious. I know my uncle, and he would not make that up. So those are the kind of stories that, for me personally, are convincing.
Maybe we can have you guys back on another time, and we can get into all that stuff. I think that'd be a cool show.
Yeah,
so just have story time.
Yeah, we didn't even get into John's first CE5 in 1976. That's a good story.
Yeah, if you guys would, let's get you guys back on here one day, and we can get into all that.
Will do.
Sounds great.
What's the one thing that you want people to know about your work?
Just that I think that we can do it. We can do this proactive disclosure if we all just work together. We've created a way to communicate in real time with people experiencing things. And the more we can get people playing in real time together, the more we'll be able to collect the data that will finally bring this into the light of day. And I really think that we just need more people to be members, pay that $5 a month. Sorry, we can't do it for free, but we need to vet just a little bit, even to make sure that we don't get spoofed by people. But we do that to protect the community. And we just need people to play. Everybody wants this answer. We think we can give it to them.
And the one thing I like to always say is to keep looking up, like it says behind EJ. There's ever since I've been younger, I've been looking up, and I've seen more stuff than most people. So that's the key, is keep looking up. It's up there. You just have to not miss it.
And report it at report.ufotrack.com when you see it.
Right.
Absolutely, and I will have that in the information section below this interview. Also, keep looking up. Also, that'll be linked. Our merch store will be linked, and actually on one of the T-shirts, it has "Keep Looking Up." So that reminded me. I figured I'd throw that in there.
Nice.
But that'll be linked below as well. Where can people find your books?
We're on Amazon, but it's also, there's links on ufotrack.com to the books.
Perfect.
And one that isn't on UFO is Angel on Board. So if you're interested in angels, that's just on Amazon. Look up Angel on Board for EJ Thornton.
I think that's linked. I think that's linked to. I think religion is probably part of the same phenomena as well. Yeah. So I think it's all related.
Yep.
We've got links to our books on the UFO-track.com site also. So, yeah.
Yep. Just fine. He's got proactive disclosure and then ways to investigate UFOs with your smartphone. Exactly. And
that looks like a good one.
I
will be ordering that.
And how to investigate UFOs with your smartphone.
That's the one I'm going to order as well. That's a good one.
There's so many applications.
Everybody's got a phone. You just need to learn how to use it to investigate this stuff. So John's book is probably a great first step in learning how you can participate in investigating this phenomenon.
Yeah, everybody's got the means to do a really thorough investigation just sitting in the palm of their hand. They just need to, when something's happening, remember that. Document it first and then record it later. But if you go to report, we walk you through that. So report.ufotrack.com. And then it'll get on the thing real time. And people that want to monitor the situation nationwide can go, oh, look, a new little dot just appeared. And, and then they can hover over it and people will see the direction it was heading or what it looked like. This is the real-time reporting is here. So if people want to monitor the situation, they can at sightings.ufotrack.com. and just play with us. Just become members and let's get the answers we want. And I don't think it's just going to be one answer. I think that there's going to be, I think that this mystery will uh, persevere, but
Yep.
we'll get more and more answers as we go along, and bit by bit, the picture will come into focus.
Awareness and taking it serious is what it's all about.
Yep, I could not agree more. And again, the link will be in the below this interview. So just go below, click on the website, join. It's a cup of coffee a month. And if we all work together, we can make progress on this issue. So John, EJ, thank you for coming to Beyond Top Secret by UAP Reporting Center. Make sure you check out all they're doing online. They're doing really exciting stuff. So, join the team, participate, and maybe we'll make some progress. But thank you guys for coming. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, so we can get this out to more people. Thanks for coming by Beyond Top Secret by UAP Reporting Center.
Thank you.
Joe.
Yep. Thanks, John. Thanks, EJ.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.